This podcast is a production of Unfiltered Studios. If you would like to know more about joining Unfiltered Studios, please visit our website at unfpod.com for more information.
Patrick Bateman has a busy day. 12:30 power lunch.
Another martini, Paul.
3:45 board meeting.
What do you think? Oh, very nice.
7 o'clock friendly takeover.
Patrick, you're so sweet.
9:15 make a killing.
So, what do?
I'm into, murders and executions mostly.
American Psycho. Rated R. Starts Friday, April 14th at theaters everywhere.
From the corrupt minds that brought you Pulp Fiction and American Psycho.
So I pretend to be a vampire. Search for this night's prey. Who will it be?
What are the rules of attraction?
I think I'm in love with this girl. She's sweet, pure, innocent. She's a virgin.
Say what you want.
Abstinence is 100% safe, which is less of a percentage than...
Whatever, I don't care. I don't major in math.
It's totally blank.
Typical.
Do what you feel.
It might be fun.
You know you want it.
You're drinking.
Drunk. I'm drunk.
Tonight's the night. Who's the lucky boy?
Sean Bateman.
He's a dealer.
Call security?
Get what you deserve.
Don't stop. Come on.
I think it's kicking in.
Gross, dude. I only did it with her because I'm in love with you.
From the novel by Bret Easton Ellis.
Where's my money? He's got it. You bring me my cash!
I want to know you.
What does that mean? Nobody knows anyone else.
She's not ever gonna want to see you again.
Are you crazy?
Define crazy. Deal with it.
So what do you think?
What do I think? Rock and roll.
The rules of attraction.
Your game, right?
Delightful. How you been?
I've been doing well, staying busy, and just trying to make time for films and a little bit of free time. Yeah, work's been killing me.
Oh, I'm sorry. What?
Just keep getting all these pop-ups. Okay.
Well.
Hello. Can you hear me?
I'm Delightful, but yeah, joining me is Boomer. How you been?
I'm doing well, my friend. How are you doing?
I cannot complain. So we got some unofficial Christmas movies. The tradition just keeps happening because, lo and behold, in American Psycho, there's a Christmas party. That's a key pivotal moment of this movie. It's also very snowy, Chicago type weather.
That is true, and I like how you stretch the very definition of a Christmas film. It's definitely not what I would call a feel-good Christmas movie anyway, but it is a good film, I would say that.
Well, unfortunately, much like Gremlins and the first two Die Hards, it's very anti-corporate. It's just showing the root of all evil, so it's a fun, cynical type holiday fare.
Oh, yeah.
And thank you for just going back and forth, just messaging me. And I was like, yeah, I better actually sit down and actually read the author's material. I've been overdue. And so that really did actually make a difference. Just catching up on Bret Easton Ellis's material, and I also listened to What Went Wrong podcast a lot. So they did a hysterical episode on the chaotic making of that movie.
Yeah. I mean, he's an incredible, incredible author. Like I first got into Ellis probably a little bit after this movie came out. And it was funny because I actually read the book before I watched this movie.
It was pretty big in 91. So yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, this movie wasn't like huge when it came out or anything. But it did very quickly develop a following, and rightfully so. But yeah, like Less Than Zero, American Psycho, and then he's got I forget what the new one is. Of course, I'm on the spot right now, but he's got a relatively new one that's kind of a ghost story, but not a ghost story. It's awesome.
Oh yeah. And God, the name of that is it Smiley Face Killers?
No. Here, I'm gonna look this up here while you.
Well, but so yeah, it was interesting getting into it because like I knew he had disowned Less Than Zero is like because it's such a different. I kind of feel like that's the blueprint for his work. It's kind of very slow moving, showing how self-absorbed and suicidal all these individuals are, and the movie's more of a tragic, well acted, buddy movie, and American Psycho. That I can understand why even the most vocal, outspoken activists, even if they actually read it, might have taken a side calling it exploitation. It's not, obviously, but most people like to just take a side and call everyone dumb. It's like inevitably, I can see why someone might have the violence might have gone under their skin, so they started thinking stuff that wasn't necessarily true. They're going with a gut reaction, even though the book is more graphic. It takes a while building up to all those different murders. It mainly, much like the movie, starts off with, man, these assholes are insulting each other. What's really going on that we don't know? And then keeping you in suspense for that. And it is wild how Tarantino's cinematographer worked on it as well, because it does have a lot of Pulp Fiction type angles,
Oh, it really does. Yeah, there's so many talented people that are working on this, and especially from the acting side. And these were people that were just now coming into their own.
Reese
I know
Witherspoon
yeah. I mean, even Christian Bale, like at the time, I mean, Christian Bale was known and respected, but not to the point that he is today. It certainly wasn't an Oscar winner or anything.
Lionsgate kept trying to get rid of him, and Mary Herron, who's already done, I Shot Andy Warhol and other mystery and horror movies, was like, no, he has the embodiment. He understands the premise. He can play handsome 1 minute and then play, total creep the next. He can sneak into that, which is what Bateman is. He's a self-aware psycho who's also a sneak, but he's also oblivious to how he truly has lost his mind at the same time. That's what's so crazy is like there's different levels of psychotic, So it's like he's really off the deep end, about to break.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, he definitely is. You're right. Like there are certain lines in here.
Right.
And he's riding in the car with his fiance, and he's just like, I just want to fit in.
Right.
And then there's, other thing. Yeah. So, I mean, you're right. Like he does understand that he's not normal, but at the same time, he's such an unreliable narrator, and it's just fantastic. Yeah.
He knows it's all a fabrication, how it's all an illusion, and at the same time, he still wants to be accepted. But I just guffaw at, how the scenes where they pass out business cards, that's been made into several different memes, that scene. But yeah, no, I so long story short, I was an idiot, young adult when I first saw it, and I didn't understand it. I just thought it was stupid, but I came back to it and was like, oh, wow. And so I think this is it. If you are asleep at the wheel, you're going to miss out on a lot of the satirical stuff. And I think that's just it. People do like the satire. It's more embedded in just like, it's not so much talking about the business side of things so much as just who are the bizarre personas who hide behind all the different tax dollars at work. And
Yeah.
how they treat other
but
people
like not
shit.
only
Yeah. Go ahead.
right, yeah, you're right. But I mean, not even that, but it's it is a satire, and it is kind of it shines a light on corporate America and capitalism and how some of that doesn't make the most sense in the world. And I mean, you talked about the business card scene, and of course that's been memed to death, and everybody's talked about that scene. And I don't know if like a lot of people have touched on it, but did you notice in the scene whenever they're showing each other the cards, and they're basically the same card first of all, and it's just every one of them is like a different color of white. It's bone or something white or whatever this, and every single one of them is a vice president. Like everybody that we're introduced to at this company is a vice president. It's just so silly.
That's a good takeaway. Is like all these presidential faces that, much like how there's a different persona on every coin that you gather. And they're all in these damn cards, but it's ultimately the same story. It's the same picture.
Yeah.
And yeah, he's interesting because, much like crime fiction authors like Michael Connelly and John Grisham, and to horror guys like Stephen King, and even spy guys like Tom Clancy and John le Carre. Yeah, Bret Easton Ellis, like he has no shortage of people trying to adapt to stuff. The ghost book you're thinking of is Lunar Park. I haven't read that one, but
yes,
I did read Rules of Attraction, and that would be my second favorite, just because he really gets even more into just how all these prima donnas who are spoiled and partying and basically operating on 3 hours of sleep, they're so in love with themselves, but yet they ultimately resemble pretty much nothing.
We'll return after these messages.
If you like small town mystery, crazy news, and wild history, then the Florida Men on Florida Man podcast is for you. Each week, Josh Mills and Wayne McCarty bring you the absolute best Florida has to offer. So if you're looking for a show that's safe for the family, but funny enough to help you escape everyday life, then listen to the Florida Men on Florida Man podcast. That's Florida Men, plural, on Florida Man podcast.
Hey, it's Brent Pope, the host of Breakfast with Brent Pope. You've seen me on some of your favorite TV shows saying things like, "Give it up, Jimmy. You got to sink this putt to win." On Breakfast with Brent Pope, I sit down with guests from the entertainment world, and we do it all over breakfast. Or should I say Brentfast? Every week on Brentfast, you get inside Hollywood info and tips, great breakfast recs and booty debates. Most of all, you get the most delightful 30 minutes of your week. So dig in. It's Brentfast time. Listen at Brentfast.com, Apple Podcasts, or wherever fine podcasts are found.
That's what my main takeaway from it ultimately kind of was. And
I haven't read that one. I need to.
I think you dig it, because like Less Than Zero was kind of for me, that was kind of the blueprint. It wasn't quite there for me yet, but it was interesting to read. But yeah, like American Psycho, he was kind of operating on all fours, and then Rules of Attraction is like, you totally see how he then will connect some of his characters into the other thing. It is a shame, though. Like, I have looked at some of the deleted scenes for Rules of Attraction, the movie version, which coincidentally was helmed by Tarantino's partner, Roger Avery, who, as a result, you're going to see a lot of angles where you're like, this looks like a Jim Jarmusch, Kevin Smith, or, Tarantino camera angle. But I like the cast in it, especially how funny how they got some of the guys who were then known as kid actors or pretty boy actors, and they're playing exactly that, but they're kind of in on the joke. It's kind of like if you were to get a soap opera star and have him play a melodramatic character. That's part of the joke, kind of. So there's a little meta stuff in that. It is a shame, though. They originally did shoot a scene, reportedly, with Casper Van Dien, Johnny Rico himself, playing Patrick Bateman, and they just didn't use it in the final cut. I'm like, what a shame. That might have actually brought a little more extra amusement to it, because Patrick is fascinating, and I think the movie, much like Lord of the Rings, I know there's totally different kinds of movies, but just as an example, like, it is a rare example of how someone really read the book through and through and said, here's how I'll adapt this very difficult to sum up scene, and then add my 2 cents and add some other stuff that ultimately resembles the same essence of what Bret Easton Ellis is going for. And just like you much like you understand how Patrick, he's struggling now to tell what's reality from what's in his mind. We, the viewer, are also led on this minotaur maze of a, you know, of a psycho. And here, Rules of Attraction, I just was impressed by the movie. Just kind of in lesser hands, it would have been kind of a crappy, improvised, probably a music video guy helmet it. But like, no, Avery pretty much just organized all these narcissists and sexcapades without making it pornographic or just unorganized. It's like he pretty much just showed how it's like, yeah, they're living every day like it's their last, and they're selling drugs and getting into utter chaos. And Clifton Collins Jr. was really good as the main drug dealer. He was really hysterical in his scenes.
Yeah, and I did see the movie, and I think I don't know how much input that Bret Easton Ellis has into the adaptations, like who helms them or who stars in them, and so I'm not sure if it's just that the people that are working on it realize that it's such good material, and they're putting forth up a ton of effort, even if they don't have quite the biggest budget for each one of these. And you're right, I saw Laws of Attraction. I did enjoy that. Less Than Zero. It's good. It's not perfect, but it is. I still find a lot of
it's
value
a whole
in that
different
one. And this one,
oyster,
I think,
like it's a rare example where, okay, not a good adaptation, but a good, decent movie in its own right. It will make you cry.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah,
I was just going to say, and this one is a masterpiece.
Totally. And I still need to check out his other book, Imperial Bedrooms. That's apparently a direct sequel to Less Than Zero.
Yeah, I definitely have to get, and it's so funny because Looter Park was the last one that I read, and I did think I saw that at a bookstore probably a year or two ago, and I picked it up and read it, really loved it. And honestly, I should have checked the dust jacket because now I sound like a complete idiot. But that's nothing new for Boomer from Podcast The Woods, because I do no research. But
to your earlier point, though, you did bring up a good point on he's a very patient guy. He understands how ridiculous all this entertainment industry is. Not to mention how several times he's had to reprint his books with different publishers. So he understands that, instead of just kind of like other outspoken creators, of any medium, instead of just lashing out, he just kind of keeps opening up a conversation instead of just inviting more morons to take his words out of context. He's just kind of, he's just the bigger man, to his credit. And I had fun just reading some other interviews and listening to some other stuff with him. And yeah, especially if you want to listen to his NPR interview, you can search for that. Is like, man, that dude just made my mind complode with all these other ideas just within minutes. Now, yes, like any work, you could argue, yeah, maybe there is an actual incel killer who's read his books just for inspiration. I was like, well, guess what? This motherfucker did not make this movie to be, just like Scorsese did not, design Taxi Driver to be seen 50 times by, Reagan's attempted assassin. It's like that. You can't look at anything that way. There's no objective way to look at it. There's always going to be some shithead. I mean, look at what we're doing now with movies. People are politicizing them, even though that's not the full story, before they come out. It's like, well, you got to watch the whole thing and look at it objectively and subjectively. And if you're going to take a shithead character in a book and get inspiration, then you might be time for you to go to the psych ward, It's just like, good grief.
Yeah.
I don't look at every fascist villain in a movie and say, oh, that guy's got great ideas. Then you would have the right to put me on a terrorist watch list. Jesus. It's like, what are we doing here? It's like, I had no doubt while going through the book. I was like, at first you don't know where the movie American Psycho is going, because that's the artistic license of keeping the viewer in suspense, but you just think he's a shithead sales guy. It's like in the book, there is absolutely no denying he is a scumbag. He is the devil incarnate, but it's like, I don't know how you could just read any of that and not get that. That is my other kind of quandary, is like, did you just skim through this, guys? I mean, Jesus, I skim through books and I still will reread sections to make sure I'm clued in. I don't know how you would go through that and be like, this glamorized this awful lifestyle. I don't see what they made so sexy about the scumbag. It's just like they made it darkly amusing, sure, because you got to have some kind of levity when discussing morbid stuff. I just don't see how you could read this out of context. I really don't. Like it kind of swarms it all at once. It's as basic as knowing that you're swimming in shallow water versus, the ocean. Like, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, you're fine. And like for the book, 100%, you're absolutely right. You go on this journey with Patrick Bateman as your narrator, and right from the jump, right from the very beginning, that he is not a great person. And I think that there are little tidbits in the film here and there that tell you that. When they go to the bar at the very beginning, and the bartender pisses him off because she won't take his drink tickets. So and funny. He goes off on his little rant. Yeah. But I think that
he says something like, no one will want to fuck you or something like that. I'm like, man, what a piece of shit. And you're laughing at it because it's just so unexpected. You're like, what the fuck did he just say? Whoa.
Oh. Yeah. Something. I think, he says something. He starts off with like, you're an ugly bitch and I want to play around in your blood or something like that. But yeah. So, I mean, you kind of, you know that he's not a good person, but
that's why it's a dark comedy. If this was said to you in person, you'd be like, fuck you, scum of the earth, you internet troll in person. And it was like, no, but here you're like, whoa, because you're seeing shit hit the fan,
Yeah. And I mean, Christian Bale is a fantastic actor, and he is so charismatic in this role. And so I think that is probably what does draw people in, is his acting chops and how he is so good in it, because at the end of the day, that's what Patrick Bateman wants. I mean, he is looking for approval and he's looking for appreciation from everyone around him. I mean, he's so in his head about how much things cost and the way that things look, and his haircut and his glasses and his Valentino or whatever suits and all these things. And so I think that Christian Bale does a phenomenal job of embodying that character and bringing a bit of charisma to the role. And that's what, that's what kind of like draws the audience to him, even though they kind of, hate him at the same time, because he is a despicable person and is murdering people and killing animals and treating his secretary like shit and all kinds of stuff.
And that's the other thing too. There, I should have said trigger warning at the start, but at the same time, like, there's awful stuff, but they show it kind of from afar, like you're a voyeur. So even though there are these things that normally you'd be like, I can't do this movie, is like, yeah, they just, or hey, seeing Hitman or Psychos makes me uncomfortable. What they do to kind of offheed that is just, we're aware, we're making you look at this in horror instead of just being oblivious to it. It's not a dumb script, but and you look at what would have happened originally, is like, I couldn't have dealt. I like Oliver Stone, I like Cam Diaz. I couldn't have done that version that they were thinking of doing, where it would have been a straight up psychological thriller with DiCaprio. And I do find some of the other choices interesting. Vince Vaughn was considered at the time. Ben Affleck, Ewan McGregor. Let me know what you think of these other ones. Ed Norton, Matt Damon. It's like, I think Billy Crudup and Norton, had they done this, they might have done okay, I think, but they would have totally been typecast the rest of their career playing psychos and bad guys.
Oh, yeah.
And Brad Pitt, I've seen him play psychos, but at that point, you would have only seen Brad Pitt, I think. You would have just been like, oh, yeah, he's playing a psycho version of Brad Pitt. It's like, it's hard to separate when you look at who's all considered. And you're like, I don't know. I feel like we'd be playing with fire if we changed just one thing at that point. It becomes a different kind of movie.
Yeah, it really does. And I think one of the other ones, and I don't know, and forgive me if you mentioned this one already, was Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yeah,
was considered for the role at some point, and his agent straight up told him, "You are not doing this movie."
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. But his agent was like, "No."
And that's just it. Like, it is kind of funny. You do wonder, of all the celebrities who I've heard who have regrets about passing on stuff, and half the time it was their agent didn't tell them, and they only found out once they fired him. I do kind of always wonder is like how much of that was they didn't tell them. They would have said yes had they cut through, because you are allowed to say yes. It's just their job that they just gotta, kind of like a studio exec has to look busy and give notes, even though it's not necessarily helpful or required. It's just like there are times where it's like, I think you guys just want to look busy. I don't think you necessarily had it in our interest, but yeah, I'm glad they avoided that version just because, again, it didn't have the satire in it. It wouldn't, it would just be basically kind of it just sounds like it would have been kind of another Basic Instinct or Bad Influence kind of movie. Similar, but way different. And you're like, yeah, no. I mean, at that point, those movies were a dime a dozen back then. Yet the last thing you want is to be compared to other stuff that you're not trying to be like.
But yeah, Silence of the Lambs 2 or something like that.
Clarice on Wall Street. Yeah, no, he's not trying to be like Hannibal Lecter. He's not even trying to be like Hans Gruber. He's trying to be Bateman. That's just it. Like, it's hard to pigeonhole him or put him in one category because, again, like, and Christian Bale, to his credit, he doesn't overact. Years ago, back when there was this thing called YouTube that first became a thing, I did see his interview with Charlie Rose, and it's so funny. People would ask him in interviews, well, what do you find relatable? And he just shouts out, nothing. That's so funny about this maniac. I'm having to justify none of his, murderous streaks, that make any sense, but yet I have to make it look like I believe in what he's saying, so he might be a method type actor, but he is definitely not good. I didn't hear, even though I know he had some issues with other people down the road, I didn't hear anything. I mean, it was a pretty micro budget movie before his career blew up, so I think that helped too. And let me look at the budget again. It was small, and I'm still very impressed by today's standards. It was estimated to be $7 million, and that's not including marketing and reshoots. So yeah, it made 15 million. So that's a hit.
It is. And then we got a terrible sequel out of it.
God. One of my favorite bad movies. It's not good. Don't get me wrong. It's not good, but you will guffaw because Mila Kunis, she was taking a break from before everyone was remembering her from that 70s show. Is like, hey, how about I do this cheap movie in Canada? And again, since it's in Canada, it's a who's who of actors who you've seen in everything: X-Files, Cube, Ginger Snaps, X-Men. And it's pretty much remembered as just a bad. I would see it occasionally like listed in TV Guide. I'd be like, they made a sequel. And every time I would forget, oh, that's right, they made a sequel. And people will always guffawed because, no one signed, much like the Wishmaster 3 and 4, no one signed up for it. It's infamous for having a stand-in who doesn't look like Patrick Bateman, but supposed to be him, killed by this 12-year-old who wants to be like him. And I mainly remember, the only thing I remember is William Shatner plays a professor who is forced off a ledge by her. Doing his Shatner is like she starts calling him Bobby after someone else she's killed. He's like, stop calling me Bobby. But yeah, it's bad. It was just supposed to be a Canadian cheapie produced by Ernie Barbarosh. who has done plenty of other sequels for Lionsgate, and it was supposed to be called The Girl Who Wouldn't Die, and even then, it's more static than a Lifetime movie. I can't say anything good about. It'd be a perfect like bad movie night, but yeah, no, fuck it. It's trash. Oh God.
It's not worth your time. No.
No.
There is one bit where Patrick Bateman. Oh, I was just going to say that there is one bit where Patrick Bateman does go a little over the top, and that is at his call to his lawyer. After
true. That's
that
true.
whole craziness where he blows up the cop car. But it's so perfect because it makes a lot of sense, because he realizes that he's starting to lose his mind. It's like that. He's coming to that realization. And so there's just all this mania that he's experiencing. And there's so many great speeches in this movie, but that one is hilarious. I
that's a good point.
20 people, maybe 40.
Okay, so that's a good point. But that's where it also works, because that's as we're about to get to the finish line. So it's like, now that's the part where we're reminding everybody you're gonna have to rewatch this and see which part might be part of his illusion or which one might have actually happened in reality. Maybe it's a half truth, but it doesn't matter because it's all muddled in his unreliable narration.
Yeah.
And it helps that, unlike most movies, it's not. I don't think there is much narration, if I recall correctly. I don't recall any narration. So
there,
maybe briefly, but
most of it is at the beginning and then at the end. So
it's only at the setup. Yeah, much like they pulled a Goodfellas on us. It's like the only time where we broke the screenwriting rule and we just needed to just kind of give a cheat sheet before we look at his giant rap sheet. And Guinevere Turner, to her credit, pretty talented actress. She's worked with Mary Harron on other stuff like The Notorious Betty Page. She's done some other edgy stuff, and I think that's just it. Like, I think was the right, given what other documentaries she's worked on and other stuff, she was just the right kind of person to just, here's how I introduce the taboo to everybody. And anyone who knows her, she's been a story editor and actress on Showtime's The L Word, but it was like, here's how I show all these desires of this asshole and why he thinks this is an appropriate lifestyle to live. And while reminding the viewer, we know it's a terrible idea. Stick with us. We're not glamorizing anything. And it just sucks how we have to baby people still nowadays when doing certain movies and shows. Don't get me wrong. There's plenty of movies where it's like, I get the filmmaker's intention. Were they successful? No. I thought they did too good a job and glamorized an asshole. Looking at you, Wolf of Wall Street. But then at the same time, then you get other movies like 1987's Wall Street, where people are deliberately saying, I'm fans of Gordon Gekko. I'm like, missed the point of the movie much? So you just have to... With this politically divided world, movies like this are still a reminder. Start policing yourself. Start policing your friends. Be on the lookout. Send out a bolo. You'll know if you're in your sane mind, you'll know when it's all gone to hell in a handbasket. You'll know when the world's gone to shit. And it is so funny though how he does treat everybody like they're crazy. It's like, no. You just did something completely unacceptable in any social realm of society. No one fires a nail gun at people and says, don't look.
Or just brings Ed Gein into everyday conversation.
Yeah. It's like, he's my icon. I'm like, whoa. and it's not like, again, I have seen some people kind of only look at the dark comedy and not look into it any further. It really is meant to be deeper than what you might look on just the basis of it. And it's not like Evil Dead, where you can take it as either a dark comedy or a scary movie, or just admire that it's a low budget movie. It's like, no, this is low budget, but it was still a psychological yet darkly amusing dive into an evil person. And it's just, but Rules of Attraction, though, I do have to give credit. that was a movie that was kind of overlooked at the same time too. But I know Bret Easton Ellis approved of both of those. I didn't really care for The Informers, but I think that was just, again, that was more of a rare instance where he was just glad to, sell a movie deal on one of his works. And even though it was adapting stuff from the novel, it kind of just didn't add much social commentary. It just kind of showed the excess. So that's just it. Like, I think Paul Verhoeven, if he ever wanted to adapt something by Bret Easton Ellis overseas, he could do a good job. Maybe Joe Dante could do something with it, because they're the same guy, where they have a sly batch of tricks. It's just you got to find the right studio who will not interfere with any part of it. Otherwise, one scene renders everything else useless, just because you snipped it.
Yeah. I mean, and I've always wanted to see, every time that I think of Bret Easton Ellis, and this may be a little out of left field, but I have always wanted to see Gore Verbinski do one of his books, because I do think that he is very talented visually. He knows what he wants, but like, he's also able to tell a story that is at the same time can be serious, but have those little dark edges to them, and levels of comedy, and levels of introspection. So yeah, I mean, I've always wanted to see Gore Verbinski as well do an adaptation of one of Ellis's works.
I think it's around the corner. It's just, you don't know until you see it. That's the other problem. It's just a lot to visualize. You do have to be keyed in. You can't just be half-assing when you're taking notes. You got to be along for the ride. And yeah, I mean, there's plenty of other filmmakers who unfortunately had a lot of their work censored, or just got tired and started phoning it in. But I'm sure back in the day there could have been plenty of other guys who would have been up to the challenge. And it's funny how you brought up the Ring director, but I wouldn't put it past him. I'm sure he might have had something similar offered, and that's just it. Like, sometimes they'll pass on something just because they didn't like your pitch, even though they think they could probably do something with it, or you just didn't say the magic word, or maybe you didn't want to give them their actual fee, or maybe they just didn't have as much creative control on like the casting, locations, and amount of days on set. So, there's so many factors. There's like, I once asked some other comedians on here from Mystery Science Theater, and I asked them, is like, do you think execs are dumb and that they don't get certain jokes? And a lot of them were like, we actually have faith in the system. It's just, you got to be really quick. And unfortunately, a lot of this stuff is slow build up. So unfortunately, unless you got some patience or like something experimental, you're not going to be very open to, hey, we just need, people are too worried about making a very fast food, kind of movie.
Yeah, appeal to the masses.
Unfortunately, yeah. I wish the masses were more patient. Oh, but yeah, I'm sure Easton Ellis would do another movie adaptation. In all fairness, he had just a shit ton of charisma for a guy who creates memorable shitheads. He was just so down to earth in all these interviews I'm listening to. And there was one I visually saw. I definitely made me want to check out wherever his podcast is. I know he still is on Patreon, I think, like many authors are. So it was kind of a reverse thing. Like the movie, kind of like with Tolkien, like the movies gave you more exposure to this unusual author, and then it helps that you like him as a person. So it's like, yeah, I want to see your next social commentary, because you got it. He gets it.
Oh yeah, he's definitely a very, very thoughtful individual.
He's the kind of guy, I could see him writing a terrifying tale about factory farming or something, and then just adding a few other bits in there, some other colorful characters who reflect the corruption or poor health quality of the products they're making. He could do something on fashion, probably. He definitely has it in him, because I mean, he'll commentate on other stuff where it's like, that's not a real suit or much of an expensive suit. How it just shows you the judgmental faults of society that we've been raised on for, centuries and that are still a problem, unfortunately. We base people's character on how they dress when we should actually listen to what they're saying. And if it's fucked up shit, we should probably not be hanging out with them. It's just like,
yeah, it doesn't really matter that you keep up with the Joneses if if you're not a well-balanced individual.
Yeah, if you're trying to cheat on my girlfriend or tripping a waiter in the hallway, I should definitely block you on Facebook and tell you to get the fuck out of Dodge. It is interesting though, and Chloe Sevigny was really good in Psycho. It definitely introduced me to some other people who were becoming, by the mid 2000s, they were still big names. Josh Lucas is in there as one of the other douchey guys who actually gets insulted. And yeah, William Dafoe is interesting as the detective who's suspecting him. We could probably leave that to whether or not that's actually a real detective or not. Maybe it's a regurgitation of various Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. Oh no. So yeah, the interesting thing about like William Dafoe's character in this, and like a little bit behind the scenes, Mary Herron had him play, because there's 3 interactions in the film with Detective Kimball, and she had him play it 3 different ways. So yeah, one way it was that he believed Patrick Bateman. Another time was he was on the fence, and another time that he suspected him of something. And so it's so unbalancing. You're right. Like, not only does it unbalance the character of Patrick, but it unbalances us as the audience, and it is part of this like whole.
What do you think? Oh wait,
unreliable narrator.
You're right. You might not be a real authority figure. You might just be an asshole.
Yeah.
For all we know, he's a hack private eye who Bateman just referred to as a detective because he just puts every law enforcement who tries to stop him into just one regurgitated body. One persona is combined.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome.
That is the reason. Oh, I was just going to say, that's the reason people are still discussing this movie, 25 years later?
Yeah.
Not just discussing the film as a good film, but still discussing what actually happens in this movie. And that's one of the best things about it.
Totally. And unfortunately, it is one of those, you have to see it. You have to read it. Don't let me tell you otherwise. Just I'll ask you what your genre preference is, and then just say, just give this a try. Just if you don't get it, I'll explain it to you. I'll school you. But and if it's still not for you, whatever. But don't tell me it's poorly made or not well constructed.
Oh yeah.
Then that tells me you're asleep at the wheel or just not paying the most basic attention.
Yeah, you like Made in Manhattan? Well, I have a really screwed up love story that you're going to enjoy.
Oh dear. Oh. There's one way to go about it. Date night's over, fellas. That would be a funny date night movie. Let's watch Rules of Attraction, and then if you're still up for leftovers and dessert, let's go to American Psycho. It might actually be better at midnight just because everyone's kind of just in that morbid curious phase while channel surfing. I haven't seen it on TV in a while. It was kind of wild. It would get occasionally modified on USA Network. I had some pals who had seen that version and were like, they cut out a bunch. I'm like, interesting. No, I can only imagine.
I can't even imagine that. Like, yeah, American Psycho. It's that movie that's like 45 minutes long, right? I saw it on USA.
Yeah. I mean, you can do it, but yeah, you'd have to do like a lot of cropping. And then I see other people trying to get technical, talking about like some of the different stuff he has, and they're like, that wouldn't have existed in that time frame. I'm like, guys, it's not about that. They just needed some prop, and you're paying too much attention to the prop. That. So I do feel like we get people who are unofficial, like critics who are inspired by nitpicking stuff like Cinema Sins. I'm like, no. Give me some real criticism. Don't look at a prop that's technically, illustrates a serial that wasn't in existence yet. It's like, that's not what this is about. This is not a history drama. So stop. Just stop. If you're paying too much attention to a prop or, even the gore, then you really are just delusional. I'm not saying you're as psychotically delusional as Bateman, but I am saying you are just getting just too wrapped up in inconsequential stuff when you should be looking at the bigger picture in these kinds of movies. What can I do?
Yeah, let's have a little intellectual discussion and not worry about whether that particular Oldsmobile that drove by in the background existed in 1988.
Oh man. Oh, so when you saw this movie, was it in theaters or was it a rental at the time?
Oh, it was definitely a rental. I saw this probably
Because it was kind of a limited
I would say 3 or
release.
4 years after originally came out. Yeah, so this was a Blockbuster rental. Speaking of, I have to return some videotapes, but I picked this one up off of the shelf and didn't really know what to expect. I hadn't seen any trailers or anything, and it's one of those things. And I'm sure you know that you go into Blockbuster on like a Friday night, and you've seen all the new stuff, or they have 13 copies of something that's new and it's all rented out. So you're like, oh, crap, I wanted to see that. So you just start searching their hundreds of titles. And I picked this one up. I took it home and was completely blown away by it. And I don't want to toot my own horn or anything, but I really did enjoy it on kind of that intellectual level. I love not knowing whether it, geez, my thoughts are all over the place, but okay, little backtrack. I am one of those people that I love a film that you cannot trust what you perceive. And that scares me. It really does. Not that this movie is particularly scary, but movies such as Get Out and that type of subgenre, that kind of perspective, I really, really enjoy. And so this one was right up my alley. And it's really funny. And I found myself cracking up and stuff, but being very disturbed, not just by the violence or the insinuation of violence that was happening on the screen, but just the fact that we have this character that, yes, cannot trust his own reality. And the one scene that is amazing in this and hilarious, just to kind of drive home that point, is when he kills the prostitutes. And there's the chainsaw. So he's chasing the girl down the hallway and she's beating on the doors and no one comes to the door. There's nobody in sight. And then he drops a chainsaw down 5 or 6 flights of stairs and hits her and kills her. It's so ridiculous. And then we get a couple of scenes later where he goes back to the apartment and nothing's there. Or you get the thing where, well, we saw Paul Allen in New York. Well, no, that's a different it's just it's amazing the way that it plays with perception, and I absolutely dug it, and I've been a fan ever
and
since.
there is an ending, but like you say, it's still a deliberate muddled mess. It's not just, hey, someone was doing something stylish but forgot about being coherent, and it's not deliberately confusing like David Lynch. No bashing on him. He's great, but I just mean like you're saying, yeah, it is deliberately leading you astray, and then still kind of that's how it kind of keeps you in suspense. It's like, I'm really not sure what's reality now. And even looking at it again, like it is almost way to compare it. Well, what would happen if Patrick Bateman and Jack Torrance got in an axe fight? But it's like, it is kind of almost like The Shining. Is like, I'm wondering, where did the guy go wrong? When did he? Although Torrance was just mental breakdown, losing his mind, shithead, and while Bateman was always bad, but he finds different individual locations to snap, or does he? And so yeah, it had that little extra kind of zinger that kind of got you. And like you say, it's not trashy, and I'm sure, yeah, if you were to see it back in the day, it would have probably been only at your art house theater, or maybe at only a few local theaters for a few days. It is wild. And I know USA Films distributed at one point, and Lionsgate is the ultimate uh, uh, distributor of it. But yeah, yes, guys, I know they're revisiting it. I can only hope that they don't try to do the same kind of movie. Like if they can do what they did with like Suspiria or the best kind of remake, don't make the same movie again. Do a different vision. If you want to go even deeper into sneak in some other Bret Easton Ellis characters, that might even be a better take, in my opinion, for both his fan base and for the movie going experience. But I knew some people were freaking out. They were like, "Oh, Austin Butler's in it." It's like, well, he's apparently not playing Patrick, so I don't know who he's playing.
It doesn't bother me that they're remaking. Like remakes have started a long time ago to stop bothering me, and I'm gonna get hate for this. I get hate every single time I bring it up. But
Bring it
Evil
on,
Dead
man.
2013, to be it as a remake. I always get comments.
That's the other funny
It's
thing,
actually
too.
a sequel.
Well, but see, that's just it. It's only you could call the Ash cameo in the credits as just an Easter egg. That was just for shits and giggles for people who hadn't left. But I mean, it's so campy.
Yeah.
It's like, guys, why are we even arguing about that? There are so many other things to argue about that actually make a difference in the world. Why would you want to? But yeah, the internet's a shit show, man. And years before Reddit even took over, just don't let it thwart you. I mean, I like plenty of remakes that I consider kind of like a cover band, where I'm like, okay, no, it's a pale comparison, but it was an okay try, and they took a different perspective. I can always admire something about that. Just don't make the same thing all over again, word for word. Don't do Gus Van Sant's Psycho. Just do your own take, do your own story. Hey, how about we tell the story this way with this zombie invasion, or this mind fuck of an ending, or this disturbing character? And I have seen other people try and compare American Psycho to other stuff, and it's like, no. See, you're not going to compare Patrick Bateman to, say, I don't know, Dexter Morgan. It's like, no, not even remotely close. That's not a comedy. And you wouldn't compare him to, say, a trashy yet so bad it's good slasher like Silent Night, Deadly Night either. It's not even close. I can maybe compare it to other horror comedies I like. I mean, we've already mentioned Evil Dead. I could probably compare it to Wishmaster, but even then, different kind of dark comedy. So it's like, just, this is its own bread and butter. And again, the filmmakers, kudos to them for being as patient as they were, for continually finding the right person to say, hey, I know your boss doesn't think I can do a good job. I'm telling you, the vice president of programming, I can do a good job. Just, if they made a dent, not only on screen, but behind the scenes, before they finally got someone to say yes and say, okay, I'll leave you guys alone because I'm fucking it up. I'm sure the executives, being as dumb as they were, didn't say that last part, but hey, they got the chance to make their movie, so they won ultimately.
Yeah, they did. And no, you're right about this being different. It is a really, and I don't know if I would call it horror comedy exactly, but it's very comedic. So I mean, that does fit.
Yeah, I was surprised too.
If you would,
yeah, people would label it as a mystery in some circles, and there were other times where I'm like, horror. I mean, maybe on the poster, sure. I mean, it's more just, there's not really any jumpy segments, so it's more just psychologically, yeah, I can see why you would give it that label. But if it's just for, I mean, even in the book, I'm not saying you're laughing at the chaos, but you're just kind of like, and then this happened, and then that happened. You're like, holy shit, what's going to happen next? And I don't know, for lack of a better comparison, it was kind of a better organized version of Falling Down at times, except instead of the character thinking he is the best, it was kind of more on just, hey, I'm getting to business. I'm getting to this, and I'm going to do this other murder and get rid of this other asshole and not get caught. Or did I? Maybe I only thought of this in my head about murdering this guy. maybe I did a totally different murder and it's just being regurgitated and repressed as a memory, so yeah, definitely more psychological. But yeah, if you were to label it a mystery, I wouldn't understand that. I'd be like, it keeps you in suspense, but it's not really, maybe a crime thriller, but not a straight up mystery. No.
No, and I do think that that's a good description of a horror comedy, but it is one that does strike the perfect balance of seriousness and comedy. Like it does at times, it does take itself serious, which makes the comedy more funny, which makes the mystery better. I think that it does a really good job of balancing those things.
Totally. I've seen others just write it off both in a good way and a bad way as a slasher, and I'm like, an undertone maybe, but not a straight up slasher. Like I would say we go almost half the runtime before seeing some kills, but kinda. I mean, it's not in every scene, unless that's all you want to remember it for.
Yeah. Do you have a theory on this film, whether Patrick Bateman's actually a serial killer, or it's all in his head, or some kind of, I don't know, a balance or some kind of mixing of the two?
I feel not to. I'll word this carefully because I don't want to belittle everybody. Everyone's welcome to their opinion. I feel like some of the internet is kind of just playing into borderline clickbait territory. I'm open to that theory. I'm just saying, just knowing how it goes, it often is just an excuse to just add, kind of like an actual conspiracy theorist, where they just want more theories instead of actual proof and making an actual theory. Yeah, I think it's just like every villain, he is definitely the hero of his story. I'm the victim, even though I'm not. But I'm open to, if you want to word it as he had all these psychotic urges and he's basically telling this to a Nurse Ratched equivalent, at the end, I'd be open to that. But I think it's mainly, I've agreed with some of the theories, just like the most absurd and overacted moments are definitely in his head. So like some of the party scenes that get out of line could have been just something he was thinking of doing, and definitely the police, car explosion. I mean, maybe he just shot 2 cops, but that was it. He didn't actually blow it to Kingdom Come. He thought he did, and he's like, "It's fucking awesome." I'm like, no. But how about you? How did you kind of go about the movie?
This is why I like horror in particular. Is it's so subjective, and especially a movie like this, but horror in general, it evokes feelings in people, and feelings and thoughts. And so my take on it, and there are no, like you said, there are no wrong takes. So you tell me this was all in his head, and I'm like, hey, that's perfectly valid. And my take on it, what I took away from this was that he killed 2 people in the film, and it was the homeless man and Paul Allen. And whenever he killed Paul Allen, that was like the culmination of what he set out to accomplish. Paul Allen was his rival, and everybody always looked up to Paul Allen. That's where the standard was. And
how ironic!
Since he killed like his competitive rival.
This is before we realized Jared Leto was a piece of shit in real life.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Did you see that Funny or Die spoof?
No, I didn't.
So you're gonna love it if you can look it up. Weird Al plays the Paul Allen character, and the guy doing the shopping and Patrick Bateman. Get ready for this. It's Huey Lewis.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's like how
I love that.
I'm glad that they were all clued into that, and they just really went to town, just over the top. Like, Huey Lewis is like, "You're not gonna make fun of my music," But they also just say some of the actual scenes. But I'm glad you brought up Paul Allen. I have seen some people theorize he might be 2 or more people. It might be all the people he killed in that one scene.
Yeah, no, I think it was like Paul Allen was real, and he actually killed Paul Allen. And I believe that he's going to get away with it. And the reason I do is because of what we get throughout the entire film. Everybody is mistaking each other for somebody else. This world that they live in is just so superficial that no one really cares about anyone, right? And so if you watch all of these characters, whether it's Josh Lucas's character, or Justin Theroux, or Marcus Halberstram, who we get for a couple of seconds, who Paul Allen mistakes for Patrick Bateman, and all these things, everybody is always confused about who is whatever. Detective Kimball even says, okay, somebody said that they saw Paul Allen in London, but it turned out to be somebody else. Patrick Bateman's own lawyer mistakes him for somebody else. And
that's a good point. I never
think
thought about that. It's good.
Yeah. I think that Patrick Bateman actually killed Paul Allen. And then that's when he began to really unravel. Now, he had all these fantasies and all these things, but then he began to act on them. And it really caused him to break. And so, of course, yeah, the cop scene, all the stuff, trying to feed the cat to the ATM and all this stuff, that was all in his head. It was when he began to lose his mind. But then he comes back into himself at the end of the film, and he wants to be caught. Like, he wants to be seen. He wants to be known for who he is, but no one ever will. And so he's so frustrated. Like, the ending monologue is just so hopeless because he doesn't even care if he gets caught. It's just that he wants to be seen, and it'll never happen. So that's why his confession and his actual confession, it means nothing at this point, and he means nothing. So I do believe that, yes, he killed a couple of people, but then most of the rest of that film was stuff that was in his head.
I'm glad you brought up that, how it ends, though. Like, in a lesser filmmaker, they would have just focused on, oh, we're just gonna, like you say, it's just gonna be a cynical rant that doesn't symbolize anything else. You just saw, a random rampage that's as random as actual real life violence, and there was no final take on what transpired. But like you say, like that's kind of their last bit jab, whereas like, oh, woe is me, it's like, but guess what? If you come this far, hey, there's no sympathy here. It's just, a guy who is just lost in his own abyss of terror,
Yeah.
I get it. It's hard. I'm giving how all these other chaotic behind the scenes stories where everybody was speaking the same language until there were too many cooks in the kitchen. It could have easily been a clusterfuck. It could have been a movie that started out well and then went downhill, or God forbid, the studio execs could have come back and been like, I got to have one more opinion on this. It's like, no, you don't.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm glad that it finally all got settled. Yeah, I don't know how much meddling there was or how much trouble behind the scenes, but I think, I think it all worked out.
It was more just with the casting that was it. Like, they just were like, oh, we want this. Oh, we want a different director. And it's like, well, I guess you're coming back. Sorry, we fired you. Continue. It was, they had some barriers in the road, but it was, after a while, it retained, and it helped that everybody was loyal to each other. The crew was like, no, we're shooting with this director, and same thing. The star's like, I will only do this if she returns, and vice versa. I will only do it with this director. So everybody had each other's back. It's a total rarity.
Yeah, that is definitely refreshing. Especially, yeah, you definitely don't get that a whole lot in today's film. Although I will say,
everybody scrambles nowadays, and you're like, come back.
I was just gonna, yeah. No, I was just gonna say, well, with the exception of a couple of directors that people are very loyal to, but yeah, that is definitely outside of the norm.
I mean, back in 2000, especially when the market's changing, we're having to tell people, hey, Y2K, it's not happening, guys. Stop. Your computers are fine. The banks are still here. We still got some peace before 9/11 makes us all be afraid to go outside for another year. we had some space in between the fear mongering and other changing dynamics of how society functioned, how movies were made, other shit.
Yeah, a little bit. Hey, there's always something though, and after that there were the housing crash and the government shutdowns and then
Oh
COVID. There's
God,
always there's
we
there's
just
always
can't
something.
be ourselves. There's always somebody. Yeah. Oh Lord. But I mean, this is also, I think that's why it stood the test of time. It works in any era. You could have placed it in another period. It would have worked and basically said the same story.
Oh yeah. Well, especially in America. So of
Yeah.
course, yeah, you're always going to have that the haves and the have-nots. And so yeah, this film, as long as we are a capitalist society, this film is going to be relevant.
That would be funny if you actually asked some shady businessman, and I'm sure they hate it. They're like they would have been, they'd be like somebody who's not in on the joke of something like Secession is like, oh, you just hated on. How do you know about my dirty little secrets? Or just like any asshole who's watching a movie they find relatable, but watching it for the wrong reasons, they would have felt exposed probably, so they probably don't like it. So that's the only
Jeff
thing.
Bezos is out there.
Oh yeah, he definitely is a kind of asshole who hates this movie because he feels like you know more about him than he wants to give. Yeah, definitely any unethical salesman hates this movie. Any unethical person in general who relates to this movie. Yeah,
Yeah.
We did this during our Breaking Bad joking, but not really. We were like, hey, if you know anyone who finds Saul or Gus or Walter White relatable, run away from them. Is like they're gonna be just as bad as those assholes. And but it is just so funny. People, I got into it with someone who like clearly hadn't watched The Shield too closely. I'm like, dude, he kills a narc in the first episode. What more do you need for me to tell you? He's a villain protagonist. There is no anti-hero. Don't let Wikipedia fool you. It's pretty crystal clear. And if you, oh well, it's not revealed till the final ending. I'm like, that's just it. It was always a lie. So what aren't you getting? So I think just people like to just, like you're saying, if we were joking about other arrogant people with stuck-up takes, I think people just like to argue for argument's sake. Not always. There are legit arguments to be had. It's just, but there are other ones where it's like, do you even hear yourself right now? Like, I mean, you got to fact check too. I'm about to start up a true crime history podcast, and I was looking at one take, and then I reread it. I'm like, well, I think that's just me implying that, but really, that's not what's implied by the article. You got to look at stuff in the mirror and just reread, just making sure you got it all. The last thing you want to do is give an apology saying, sorry, I had a typo in my blog post there, or I misspoke. I need to rewatch it, something, or reread something. You don't want to be the guy making an apology. I'm not saying it's.
Yeah,
I'm not saying you can't make an apology.
I was just going to say, we call them the well actuallys.
Sorry, go ahead.
I said, I was just going to say, yeah, we call those type of people the well actuallys.
Now I get it. Yes, there's that. It's like, okay, smartass, come on over here. Yeah, don't be a Sheldon from Big Bang Theory. Don't do it. Just don't. Yeah, so I'm up for that theory. I can see Paul Allen is just like the second and last actual person he kills, and the rest is all repeating itself in different forms in his head, but he's giving a different face because he basically, that would actually make a little better sense, because since he hates everybody, he would probably basically put all the different people who he wants to basically have sex with and then kill because he considers them rubbish. He would add faces to them, and same thing as all the other businessmen who he loathes, because they all. It's so funny though. he hates how they all represent greed, and yet he's also greedy. So it is just one of those. It's just like any mad gunman is like he thinks he's solving a solution when he's only adding to it. It's just it's all I can gather from it. But the movie does good at instead. I mean, there's been other similar satirical stuff like this, like Promising Young Woman, and I mean, hell, Office Space was another take on what do you do when you just decide to revolt against your dysfunctional job. It's just there's been Swimming with Sharks was kind of another dark comedy that came out years before. So I mean, there were all kinds of different twisted takes on it, and it was just always so funny how you just needed a movie to kind of remind everybody, hey, just value yourself. Don't have yourself become a slave to your work environment. Don't treat yourself like property. You put a mind to it. And if there are shitheads in your workplace, get them fired or find a different employment since they don't have your back. And yeah, Patrick Bateman would definitely not last long realistically. So I'm sure maybe this was only one full week where he just snapped. I don't know.
Yeah, that and and you touched on some very good things there, and also just if this movie will show you anything, just be yourself, not a psycho, but you don't have to put on the front. You don't have to be what everybody else thinks that you should be. Just be yourself. Do what makes you happy.
That's true.
You don't have to try to keep up with everybody else.
That's true. That's kind of like how comedians that are very bright but use shock value to get your attention, like, early Richard Pryor and George Carlin is one example I'd use, is like they're using Patrick's psychotic outbreak, as just an example of when pushed to the limit of a way to uglify, just show the ugly side of this and why it's not good. And if you want to be pretentious and call this heavy-handed, go for it. But it makes the point across. It really does. It delivers on it, and it's honestly the only way to make it repulsive and just lay it out there for this because even though it is rational thinking, it's just showing you just the seediest, shadiest, just most unethical way you could formulate this, and literally putting it in a blender, but it's one organized blender. And it is wild. It definitely is. But I still to this day, I have been at several jobs and I have seen people put on the kiss ass face, and I've been like, no. I don't want to hear I'm going to do that. Are you going to do that? And I used to work at an airport. Take a guess. Long story short, I don't recommend anyone work at an airport. And I would see so many people, they were stressing. I was like, dude, you're going to have a heart attack. No, I can't miss work. But it's like, well, it's fine to be on time. That's not what I'm saying. But they were such fear mongers. They feared it. I'm like, I'm not saying you can always get another job. That's not what I'm trying to say. I'm just saying don't compromise this, because you're going to have a stroke and you're going to be unable to stand and do the work if you continue down that road at the pace you're going. Just breathe, take a break. You're allowed a break anywhere. Even if your boss is being a dickhead, you are allowed a break. It is the law.
Life is too short to be miserable.
It is amazing. And just kind of like some of these other critics we've had, or people who pick teams, there's always someone who wants to do the most or very little. And it's like, you can do a little bit of both. Like, you don't have to worry about this part of the job, but you need to worry more about this part of the job. Give this more attention. I'm not saying do complete, full blown attention or so little attention. It's like, just, there could be that perfect, nice in between. And of course, yeah, Patrick, he's another example of a guy, a shitbag who thinks he has all the answers and he's smarter than everybody. So he definitely applies to the, well, probably, but he also mixes it in with, I'm going to entertain myself by, you know, disposing of this person just to show make a mockery of them, basically. So that's just it. We got to show the most morbid thing to get the point across. But it doesn't overstay its welcome. It is very tightly edited, and the music only added to the fun. You know, just is like it was irrelevant. He's not here to return a videotape. He was just here to just have an excuse to get inside to kill his rival. You know, it's just it's kind of almost goes back to the first rule of acting. You know, when you're staging a scene, it's like, how do I want my character to walk in here just to set this all up? You know, and they definitely were very meticulous about how to set all these scenes up and go from one place to the next. It's not just showing only the, you know, mindless killing. It's also just showing just how extra repulsive he's going to keep sinking to, you know. And yeah, I don't have any more words. I think we put the nail in the coffin.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think we covered it about all. I mean, you're right. Like it's expertly shot. It has incredible music. It's a lot of the decisions in here are very smart, from his not drab, but his very clinical apartment that is just white on white and black. You know,
yeah.
To like the round tables of the guys. Yeah. That are just talking about nothing. You know, I mean, it's really, really, really smart.
Notice how he interrupts a few conversations too. It's like we don't even know what those conversations were, and they're irrelevant. He didn't care about them anyway. He just wanted to basically go up and insult them.
Yeah,
and much
give
like
his
an
2 cents. Yeah,
much like an insult, it doesn't hold any muster. It's just okay. Yeah, and I mean, what I like about Rules of Attraction is same kind of deal. I did see some people is like, just when you thought it was like the most basic thing, and like, guys, it's showing how unsexy all these sexy people interact. It's showing this party that's not really a party. It's just all these assholes who get together and just basically tire everybody else out. And it's just so funny. Like, just like Patrick Bateman loves himself. These guys kind of just think they're cool as shit. They are non-rock stars partying like rock stars, and they think they can do no wrong, and that everyone else is just full of it. And it's like, that's whatever setting I put you in, that's appropriate for. You think you're better than everybody else because you're not even a rich kid, for starters. You're just an asshole who's now turning into a shithead. It's
unawareness, flawed thinking, and dysfunction in our relationships. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and I don't know how anyone else can just nail that. It seems like there's so many other people who will have a similar take on something like this, but they won't plan out their shots, or they'll just go on longer than one would desire. And yeah, so I mean, if anyone else is up to adapt Bret Easton Ellis, I'm open to it. I don't know if it'll be as great, but hey, I know he's at least not only signing off on this, but picking people who are at least have a particular style, but aren't just stylish when he's selling this. So I hope
I'm here for
I hope
any adaptation.
I hope there's some sanity left in Hollywood, so we'll see. Also, what would you like to promote?
So we do have. Well, okay. So let me talk about this. This is a little bit of the future. So we are Podcast in the Woods. You can find us on all podcasting platforms, of course.
Mm-hmm.
And we do booze and horror. I do this with my wonderful, amazing co-host and wife, Gabby. And we just like to have a good time and talk about horror movies. So if that's your thing, check us out. But we do have a very, very special series coming out next year. We're starting to work on it now. Summer series. We're doing a top 20 of the 1980s, and it's going to be a big undertaking because we're breaking down each year and getting a top. Yeah. So we're getting a top 10 for each year, taking those down to 2. And then at the end of it, we're going to have top 20 of the 80s. So yeah, it's a big undertaking, but we're going to have a lot of fun with it.
New Year's resolutions came early. That's awesome. All right. Well, best of luck on that. If you need any assist, I'm here. But if you need other podcast guests, I got a few I recommend who love all kinds of genres and objective thinking.
Yeah, absolutely. We were going to have to return the favor and have you on for a show. Now we have got stuff that's booked out, but we are also going to do a winter series that's a little bit smaller, a little bit more concise, and and there are some open spots for that. So yeah, just check your DMs, my friend.
You got it, buddy. All right.
Follow us on the web on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. The podcast is available on Podbean, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Anchor, Apple, and anywhere else podcasts are available. Feel free to review our show and leave comments on any of those sites. Thanks a million for listening. It's a jacked up